Hello, Gear Up students! We are back with your Challenge 4. This is going to be our final stages. This is the last challenge of the entire Dev League. I will let you know what's going on here in this video. You have your document. This is just the supplement to the document so that you have all the details. So as I mentioned, this is going to be our final stages, and or you can consider it our publishing in the very end. So for this is going to be structured a little bit differently than our other challenges. You actually have two main options to choose from for your development for this part of our Dev League. So option one is to send our dev team here your project in its most completed prototype state. So as far as you've developed it up to Challenge 3, when you finish with Challenge 3, you just make sure that you've got your prototype and you will send it over to us. With the GIMM development team, you will work in the role of a consultant, providing materials as we request them and communicating with us to keep up with development. For option one, essentially what this means is that should you so choose, we will take your projects and do most of the development till the end, till the publishing phase. We will do most of the work, we will do most of the programming, we might just ask you for some assets here and there, and we want to communicate with you frequently to make sure that we're bringing your idea and your vision to life how you wanted it to be. This option exists for those teams who are getting kind of busy, or this is getting a little more difficult to fit into their schedules, or they encounter some hard development problems that this might help alleviate a little bit. But basically for this first option, if you so wish, we will take on the primary role of the developers and we will help finish your project, and then we'll make sure that you watch the journey while we do the rest of the work, and we will make sure we get your help if it's applicable to actually finally upload it to the App Store. So this should take some weight off your shoulders if the development got a little too time consuming or a little too frustrating. We will be there to do the difficult part of development. You came up with the idea, you came up with the outline, the colors, the way it should look, and we'll just make sure that we do the more technical part of this project and get something done so that you can show off a beautiful app that you'll have all your names in. So, what you'll need to do for option one, you'll need to push your prototype in its most completed state to GitHub. You need to make sure that your GIMM dev has access to that GitHub. If there is an element in your app that's not completed or broken, so if your app doesn't run when you try to run it, comment out that section so that the devs can review it and fix it. So just make sure when you turn in your project that it actually runs. You can turn it in at any state that you want as long as you've got something there for us to work with, just a baseline, but make sure it's not broken so that we don't have to go through and pick out all the errors and such. If there's an area that you cannot figure out before you want to send this over to us, just comment it out and make sure we know what you were trying to do with it so we can bring it to its most completed form. Past that point, all of your assets, concept art, your style document that you made from Challenge 2, and your wireframe and stuff like that, include them in a Google Drive link or a zipped folder, and that'll be uploaded either to the drive or sent directly to your GIMM dev, just so that we have access to all the materials that you put in your project. We'll have your GitHub to get the code and such, but we want to make sure that on hand we have all the assets that you've made and the buttons and such. After that, there will be a written document that explains what's going on in the prototype version of the app and what all the functionality is. You made something pretty similar to this in Challenge 3. When you turn in Challenge 3, it's just this list for your prototype with all the features that you have done and how they're implemented versus the features that you wish to be implemented, and you'll just make sure they're listed in order of priority so that we can work on those in order. Make sure that you get this to the developer immediately if you choose to take option one, just so that we know what we're working with and we know what direction to take. And then lastly, you'll produce visual assets for the development team to input as needed. So if there's some art that we think that you guys should make in your style, just a couple more drawings or buttons that we think would be best if you guys made them, we'll just ask you to make a button or make a drawing here and there. Send them over to us and we'll make sure they're implemented into the app. Option 2 is for those teams who want to still do the majority of the development, but perhaps have run into some roadblocks and need some help getting things worked on so that we can ship this to the final product. So this option 2 is you'll continue developing your project as the primary developer, but you'll closely communicate with the GIMM development team, who may or may not need to take it off your hands at certain points and finish certain elements. So you will continue your production on visual/programmatic elements, setting weekly goals that you'll discuss with your GIMM dev each meeting that will help you make continual progress on your application. When an issue is encountered, you need to be prepared to hand off the project, so make sure that it's completely uploaded to GitHub in its most complete state, as I mentioned, and we will take it here on our GIMM development team and we'll do some short-term development to fix your issue. So if you run into an error that you just can't figure out or a big problem, We will just take it for a few days, up to a week, and make sure that the problem is fixed, and we'll push that most recent version to GitHub so that you can take it from that point on and that hurdle is overcome. If you have an issue, just comment it, but leave it there so that we can work with it. When an issue is encountered that requires the help of the dev team, you need to give the dev a short description or like status report document describing the issue. This doesn't have to be anything crazy. This can just be a short little note document where you describe the issue, tell us what lines of code it's in, or tell us what part of the Unity editor it's in, and then kind of bring it up in the weekly meeting so that we're able to take it off your hands and develop it past that point. All right, so part 2 of this, after you've chosen what option you're going to pursue for this, you need to have coordinator meetings at least once a week. We understand that this is going to be variable, so it's a little flexible if you miss a week or two, but certainly aim to have a meeting with the GIMM dev once a week, at least, so that development can continue on our end. We can make sure that we're making it how you want, or you're making it how you want, whichever way you choose, and that we can remain in closer contact and we can have some better collaboration, because this is the most collaborative of the challenges. Part 3 will be the presentation. So I know that you had a PowerPoint from Challenge 3. As your project is nearing its final state or completion, you're going to edit your PowerPoint from Challenge 3 to include some development updates and then the finalized, polished version of the app so that you can promote this and share your work. Lastly, for Part 4, if it's applicable, when your development is complete, either by us or by you, you will work with us to provide content for submission to the App Store. So you'll provide the screenshots that'll be on the Android, Google Play Store, maybe a trailer if needed, but we'll let you know what content and materials are needed when we get to that point, if your app is one of those that should be submitted to the App Store. We do have our YouTube channel. There are a couple different things that are gonna help out with this part of the challenge. One of those is your GitHub tutorial, just in case you haven't gotten your GitHub set up yet. And then there's also our Android for Unity exporting to exe tutorial, which was made by Jessna to show you how to make a build from Android. If you want any more tutorials or there's some that are missing, just ask us and we'll make you up some new tutorials that help out with any problems you may run into. We'll keep you updated throughout the development process, and I look forward to seeing what we do in collaboration.